Hey everyone, and welcome back to Be a Warrior podcast. So good to have you here. As we go into another week and the last week of January, first off, I have no idea where January went to, and I cannot believe we are starting into the second month of 2025. That being said, I started thinking this last week. I had the privilege to accompany my husband on a work trip out to California. We weren't sure if we'd be able to go because of all the fires that had been happening out there. But we did get that opportunity. We were not anywhere near the fires per se, but we definitely could see just even the smoky horizon on the ocean from LA, which was really sad and disheartening. But I thought, you know what? One of my places, and I have no idea how this Illinois girl grew up for 31 years of her life in Illinois, became an ocean girl. But I think that was something that was always in my blood, and I had no idea because I never thought I'd leave Illinois. So you get a farm girl, city farm girl, and getting the opportunity to accompany her husband on job changes to Florida, now Arizona, and being able to be so close to the ocean as a everyday experience being in Florida was eye-opening. But what really changed the game for me was when I became an amputee. And you might hear people say the ocean has the power to heal. And it is really true. Now, of course, you have to be open to that. And some people just don't like the sand and everything and the beach, or the busyness and craziness that can be there when everyone is there with their toys and the movement and the sound. But if you can find a place to retreat to an ocean view, a beach, when it's quiet and there's no one there, it's pretty impressive. So this past week, I had 2 days where my husband was working, and I literally walked down to the beach, and it was over a mile to get there and back, but totally worth it for me. And I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what that did for me and what I'm hoping we can do together. And that is the fact is I know someone somewhere out there that's listening is really struggling to cope with whatever they're going through. And that might be their amputation, because that's what I can hone in on, being an amputee myself. But one of the things that we tend to get wrapped up in is the finiteness of an amputation. There is no getting better from it. It is what it is. But the frightening part, and what a lot of people don't realize, is the fact that it's not a one and done. For a lot of us, it is constant change, constant issues. And when I say constant, I don't mean like every day, but the fact is I'm 6 years out. I finally just got a brand new socket. For about a week, the socket was great, and now I'm getting like burns and raw marks up at the top. I'm also noticing a pain in the back of my leg. And then immediately my body goes to, this is really painful. My mind hits, will this require surgery? Is that a neuroma? You start going into this, okay, I've been here before. I've felt something similar. Last time this happened to me, it was a year after my amputation, and I did have a neuroma. And so I had to have surgery and was out of my leg that I finally had just gotten used to. And I was out of my leg for 4 weeks healing from the neuroma surgery. And, you sit there and you can get totally wrapped up in this and forget everything else that's going on around you. Forget that there's other people in your life, other people having issues, other people that need your time, your care, your comments, thoughts, prayers. And so I thought, getting down to the beach made me aware of several things. Number one, it was the first time I really pushed myself in my new socket. That first morning, I went to the gym, decided to try a treadmill out, and it was the best I had felt on a treadmill in a couple years. And so I was able to do more time than normal. Now, I am not a treadmill girl. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. So for me to get 5 minutes in, I find is quite an accomplishment. I did 10 minutes while I was on vacation, and I was so proud of myself. But then I actually got off the treadmill, did some working out, and then I walked down to the beach. So I did some more walking. What I found myself doing at the beach, though, was not paying attention to my phone, not doing anything but listening to the sound of the water crashing, watching the birds, and there were a lot of birds trying to find food, birds flying over just above the ocean water. And the harmony that I found sitting there between myself and the ocean with the animals was incredible. And I really felt the need to share that with you, even if it means you use imagery to help you calm and breathe today. I hope that's where this takes you, because not everybody will get to the beach. Not everybody wants to be at the beach, but there is a calm about all that's happening. And what I think is really kind of cool about it, the ocean itself, is the power that's within the ocean, which I truly felt when, not even a year after my surgery, I decided to go when we were on vacation and try surfing for the first time ever in my life, let alone as an amputee, not knowing which end was up. And definitely didn't grow up skateboarding or anything like that, so I had no knowledge of things like this. The only thing I've done is I have water skied and I have snow skied. But other than that, surfing, skateboarding, never done. But what I found and what was so thrilling about surfing, two things. One was, when you fail at surfing, you hit the water. And the water is so much more forgiving than pavement. I tried some skateboarding after I became an amputee, and the pavement was brutal. And I was geared up, literally from head to toe, geared up for crashing. And it still didn't matter. I tore my AC joint in my shoulder up here, and that sucked. So one thing I did love was the fact that if you have to bail out on a surfboard, the water is so nice. As long as you're not hitting coral underneath, you're good. So that was fun and exciting, because then I could really focus on the challenge of staying up without the fear of falling. So if you haven't tried it, I suggest trying it. There are so many groups out there that want to help adaptive surfers. So check it out. On the Hawaiian Islands, of course, but I do know California is big on that. But the second thing is that when you do finally catch that wave, the fact that you are moving with the power of the wave pushing you underneath, it is the incredible feeling and emotion that goes with that power that is really kind of serene from the outside. If you're just looking at a beautiful wave coming in and you see it kind of coming and it's just a normal wave, but the power underneath for that water to move like that in such a vast amount of water is incredible. And that is the power, or they'll say the mana of the ocean, and it's a beautiful thing to experience. And it is very healing, because you forget everything. You forget your worries, your pains, your fears. Like I said, the fear of falling tends to be everyone that I've met as an amputee. That's their biggest thing is having to bail out of something they're doing and falling, or walking through their house and tripping and falling. And no one likes to fall, but if you know it's a possibility, depending on your surface you're on, like we have stone on our floor, it hurts to fall. But when you lose all that fear and intrepidation and all that, you can truly feel the presence of nature at work there, and it is powerful, and it is beautiful, and it is healing. The other thing is, when you're getting out there and you see that, what I noticed sitting on the beach this last week was the metaphor of the ocean to what we go through as people. For those of you that know me, you know on the outside I'm pretty calm, cool, collected, and I'm usually smiling. I love smiling. Smiling is my favorite. But underneath is turmoil at times, and I don't let it show because it does no good for me, and it surely is not going to help the world around me if I have a presence of being angry and frustrated and in pain. That to me summed up watching that ocean the other day. The fact that everything looked so calm on the surface, and watching the birds soar, literally wings just above the water as they soared in unison. And I believe they were pelicans, just in unison, about 10 of them across the ocean, just skimming the surface. And I thought, how beautiful. And then all of a sudden the wave crashed in front of me. And I thought, yep, that's what it kind of feels like on the inside. So what people see is what they see out in the ocean, the big, beautiful, open ocean. Everything looks just like you're bobbing along real calm. But when it comes to that surface area, you can see, and it was crazy because when you saw the ocean wave coming up, it was almost see-through with the sun behind it, and you could see the dirt churning. You can see any of the grass that was in that area swishing back and forth violently, and then crash right into the sandy beach. And I thought, God, that is truly the metaphor for so many of you, right? We keep our cool. We're trying to keep it really calm, but right underneath the surface, there is a war that is raging. And the war is sometimes mental to physical, sometimes it's emotional. And you're trying to just keep it together from day to day. And I get you. I'm there, I hear you, I see you, and I feel you. And I just thought, I think everyone, if you get a chance to be somewhere by the water and to watch the magic that happens and really disconnect, put your phone away, turn off the music, and listen and watch. And it was also just incredible for me, like I said, watching the birds go right over, no fear that a wave might come and take them. It's symbiotic. They knew what was happening right below them, and they knew there was no fear of being right up on top of the water. And then likewise, watching these little tiny shorebirds, they would wait for the wave to come crashing in, and as it was literally retreating, they would run as fast right behind it because they knew that the little shells that had animals in them they could eat were popping out of the water and blowing air bubbles from the water that just receded. And they were digging. But I'll tell you, I watched for 20, 30 minutes, those birds, and those waves would come in from different angles. At one point in time, I was sitting in an area like a bathtub area. Like water was coming from one side and the other side, and they were sloshing up together on the beach. And those birds didn't get their feet wet. They didn't get taken. They were small enough to be taken away by the waves. And yet they never got touched by the water. Yet they were looking down and noticing what was happening in the sand, and that yet they never, ever got hit by the water. They knew where that water was. They felt it. I don't know if that's just how God created them to know what was happening in the vibration of the land. I don't know. But the sense that they had to know when to get out of the way and when to retreat with the water to get the best food, and then to get out of the way again. And it didn't matter and you watch them move as the waves came from one side or the other side and came up hard, or they wouldn't even fear when they knew it wasn't a big enough wave. They didn't move from their spot because the wave didn't make it up to them. It was absolutely beautiful and crazy all at the same time. And I just thought, gosh, to be able to understand the world around you when it's going to be that brutal at times, like I said, those birds could have easily been totally taken away by those waves and never touched. And I thought, there's a metaphor in there for this. There has to be, right? The fact is that we are all going through something. And as an amputee right now, there are things I have to remind myself. And maybe that is the reason why I'm doing this podcast, because I might be in the midst of a wave. I don't know yet for sure what that wave looks like or how strong it's going to be and if it's going to try to take me under. But I'm watching, and I'm staying observant and diligent. I am staying on top of it. I'm going to go see my prosthetist this week and have him make some adjustments here, but I'm going to ask him questions about the pain I'm feeling at the very bottom of my limb on the back and wondering if it is another neuroma. And I hope it's not, but if it is, there's nothing I can do about it. But plan and prepare my emotional state and my mental state for the game ahead. And if that looks like a surgery and 4 weeks out of my socket, so be it. It isn't the end of my life. 4 weeks, and I hope to God I live to 90, 100. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I have to live for right now. And if I can't perform, if I can't walk without pain, if I can't do what I want to do without going to bed in excruciating phantom limb pain, then I need to make some changes, even though I don't really want to do that. Another thing I was thinking of today was the fact that for those of you that have seen me do this before, How to Walk by Thich Nhat Hanh, this little tiny book with just little sayings from this monk that worked on enlightenment and being present, fully present, is literally, I don't even know where to start. Every one of these pages with a little tiny quip that he has written could be something an amputee could benefit from. So this one, let me read this. Please forgive me for reading, but I'm going to read this. It's called Walking Instead of Driving. And this is huge because I live literally not about half a mile from my town. My town is so small that I have to walk to the post office or drive to the post office to get my mail. The grocery store is right there. There is a Starbucks in our grocery store. If we want to go out to dinner, there's several restaurants within walking distance from our home. Yeah. And yeah, it's a cute little town. Love it. But everything is 0.6 miles. So if I would prefer not to drive, I can walk it. Sometimes my fear of walking may cause the phantom pain, might get the better of me. So, you have to think about that. But this one hit me because it says walking instead of driving. It says sometimes we don't really need to use the car, but because we want to get away from ourselves, we go down and start the car. I am guilty of that because I am home alone during the day. My kids are either at school or work. My husband's at work. I have the dogs. But sometimes I either get bored or just sitting around. I like distraction, so sitting around is usually not something I like to do. So I will go and get in the car and go, yeah, I probably could pick something up from the bigger grocery store that's a few miles away just to get away from town and do something different. So I am guilty of that. It is a good distraction technique, and sometimes it gets us out of our own mind. So it's not a bad thing, but as amputees, we have to learn to walk through some of it too. That's the only thing that's really going to make us stronger. It says, if we recite the phrase, before starting the car, I know where I'm going, it can be like a flashlight. We may see that we don't need to go anywhere. You cannot escape yourself wherever you go. Sometimes it's better to turn the engine off and go out for a walk. It may be more pleasant to do that. So I thought, geez, that is so true. I have literally gotten better and better at this, of just, what is it you're doing right now? What do you need to do? Do you really need to go out? 1, waste of gas. 2, it's not good for the environment if I don't have to use my car. 3, waste of money because I'm going to end up going somewhere where I end up buying something I really didn't need. And guess what? When I get back, everything is still where it is, and I am still me. And I still have to address whatever it is that's going on in my head or in my body at the time. So that might be a challenge for you this week, is ask yourself, where are you going when you start the car? Now, of course, a lot of you are working, and you definitely have to go to work. I'm not saying don't go to work. If you're starting the car because you have to go to work, go to work. You have to do it. That's part of life. But if you are like me, where there is stuff to be done in this house, and I can actually get out and get fresh air and exercise and take my dogs for a walk, everyone benefits. And like I used to say, going to the gym, even when I was dreading going to the gym, I found that I felt so much better when I pushed myself, got out of the car at the parking lot and walked into the gym, did my workout. My life was better, even if at the beginning I did not want to do it, because the easy road is the easier way, right? But to get better, to feel mentally stronger, and to push through issues and really find out what's really feeling bad, sometimes we need to push ourselves out of our comfort zone and just walk. And for amputees, the walking is the hardest part, because we either don't feel good in our socket, we're having a bad day, maybe we didn't get good sleep the night before because of phantom pain or phantom sensations. So walking for an amputee takes a lot more energy than just a two-leg walking down the street. There's a lot of things that can play into us going, I don't want to go out today. I don't want to walk today. I want to sit here and stew about my problems because this sucks. Yeah, it sucks. But you know what? This is life, and you can either embrace it or you can fight it and battle it all the time. And it would be a battle uphill. It is never going to become an easy battle if you choose the battle. So you learn to embrace it. You deal with the suck when the suck happens, but you get out and you do it anyway. And so I am there. Now, granted, if you are struggling with an open wound, that is not the answer. You have to also listen to your own body. And then you need to ask your doctors, your healthcare providers, not social media, what you should do about an issue. Because social media doesn't know you. Only you know you the best. And the second best is the people that have been helping you through your amputation or your medical issue. So you need to have a conversation with them. And like I always say, when I speak about this, I speak about my own issues. I do have a raw mark up here. For some of you, that could be very detrimental if you struggle with infections and open wounds. I have not. So a lot of times I put my leg on, I put a little salve there so there's not friction, and I march on. But that is also what I can do because of who I am and how I heal. So this week, if you can't get by the beach and watch the ocean, you have a couple call to actions here. What I was doing with the beach was finding a metaphor for how life can be really rough under the surface for us, and no one knows what we're really going through. But on the surface, everything's calm, and this can also be for you. Everything seems good, everything's good, until all of a sudden you do something, and then there's a raging war within, right? You have a couple options. With technology these days, you literally could find a video that just watches the ocean, and you can put it on your TV, and you can tune everything else out and focus on watching the ocean through TV, through a video. You could also just tune into a audio clip of ocean waves crashing and hearing the birds in the background. And all of that can bring you to a more of a Zen type place, a place where you can work on your breathing and slowing yourself down and transporting yourself to a place of peace. That is probably one of the few things that we all can do, especially people like me that live in a desert and there's no ocean waves right by me. If you do live by the ocean, I really suggest, if you haven't used this technique, do it. I would say if you have a lake by you, you might get the same effect, but only if it's a windy day and you get kind of a bathtub effect. Or if you're Lake Michigan, if you're like my family who live out near Chicago, sometimes people will go to Lake Michigan and it looks like an ocean because you can't see the other side. It's such a big lake. And you will see there's actually a beach in Chicago, which I always think is so funny when I see the sand. And there are palm trees on that beach, which I never knew growing up there until I actually moved away and came back down to Chicago and looked around. But you could go someplace like that and get the same effect. But try it. Try to find a quiet place where you can watch or hear the ocean and imagine that. And if you don't have those opportunities, like I said, find a way to hear it or see it in your home and take the time to stop everything you're doing and just be present in that moment and see where you're fighting yourself inside like the ocean battles underneath. And just take that time to just slow down your breathing and kind of come to grips with where you're at and what it is you're not accepting right now, and move on. We need to work on moving through that stuff and getting through the suck of whatever you're going through. And you are not alone. There are so many of us that are going through things. Even when people feel like they or look like they've got it all together, remember the ocean, because not everyone has it all together. And some people may have it all together in that moment that's on social media, and they might turn around and have something just smack them out of left field. So just remember, nobody goes through a calm and stays in calm. Okay, we all have the ups and downs. The ebbs and the flows of the ocean are prevalent in everyone's life. And the next time you want to escape yourself, try taking a walk and be present in the walk. And if that means just walking around your house versus sitting on a couch and taking your leg off to make life easier, try to push through that and work on walking through the house. Just be careful, watch your steps, know where your pets are. I have had major falls tripping over my own pets. They kind of just get in the way. They try to be with you everywhere you go. And as lovely as that is when you're sitting down, it is not lovely when you're an amputee and you walk, trip, and fall into travertine. So, speaking from experience, this week, take time, visit the ocean in any way, shape, or form you can, and try to see the beauty and also the power that is there, because it is magnificent. And if you ever get the opportunity to try getting in the ocean as an amputee, even if I'm not surfing, I have found it liberating to get in the ocean and sit there, and you get through that first part where it crashes and it's crazy. But if you get a little further out and you find that you're just bobbing in the nice thick salt water that keeps you afloat, it is an incredibly peaceful place. Find that peace for yourself. You deserve it. And, until next time, we are always here. I want you to reach out to me and let's get some banter going. Tell me, if you are by the ocean, what do you do to calm down? And if you aren't, what do you do to calm down? What do you do to find center? Where do you find calm? And how do you find a peaceful place within you when a storm wants to rage? Because we all go there. I want you to try to find the peace. I hope you all have a blessed week. And I hope that you find the ocean a peaceful place, or the sound of the ocean a peaceful place for you. And until next time, as always, be healthy, be happy, be you.